the News Alerts TV, of course, where we discuss matters politics and matters governance. Who did what, where, when, why, how, and of course, how much more or less is the taxpayer going to spend, or how much more or less is the government also going to spend. And I'm joined by Emmanuel Bosire, who helps us analyze the things that we are talking about, or the topics that we are talking about. So most definitely feel at home. And also to our viewers, the comment section is very much free, very much open. Feel free to tell us your comments as well as your suggestions and your opinions. Everything is valid except for Matusi. Sindio? Yeah. Now, moving on. Of course, we know that it is make or break week for Kawira Mwangaza. But before we get into that, on the 13th of November, we have seen the Interior CS has actually declared it a holiday where Kenyans are actually going to plant trees in the country, in different parts of the country. How do you picture that, like creating just a holiday for planting trees in a country like Kenya? And there was also a suggestion to scrape off other national holidays such as Utamaduni Day.
So it's a statement or a question?
No, that's a question. How do you feel about this holiday being put forward and this other holiday being scrapped, or people want it to be scrapped?
First, I will be a government sympathizer. At times, a government can be contradicting itself.
No.
We've reached a point in time whereby planting trees. Wherever I happen to go, there are a lot of trees in our country. Especially where I come from, we have millions of trees. Kisa University decided to plant more than around 10 million trees.
Wow.
In a time of 10 years. So you find out that the trees, we have a lot of trees. But at times you find that some have grown trees even to the river. Something that Nema was trying to come up with the help of chiefs and sub-chiefs to make sure that they are bringing out people from planting trees near to water mass and sources. But again, as a country, spending that day alone to plant trees, to me, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that it's only planting trees. No.
Okay. I won't even inquire further because I just wanted your opinion on if it sits well with you.
No, to me, that's what I'm saying. That to me, it's not quite convincing me. It's a personal opinion.
Yeah.
But if you wanted me to see it from a political angle and other things.
No political angle. I just wanted your personal. There's no politics in planting trees. There are politics in planting trees. What kind of politics?
The issue about trees at the moment is not about Kenya.
No.
It's not about maybe Uganda. It's not about maybe USA. It's something that they have told us about climate change. So they have framed it well so that they can explain about climate change.
No.
And through it, maybe one way to help solve the issue of climate change is by planting trees. But again, it's we human beings who want to do extraordinary, even to the things that the creature himself has decided them to happen. So it's like, how can you prevent an earthquake? How can you?
I don't know. We're probably putting measures in place that will prevent the earthquake.
How can you?
Well, different ways. I am not an expert in that sector, but I know there are different ways.
So natural disasters, they come and they're bound to happen. And even to the end, they happen unexpectedly.
No.
And that's why they're being termed as emergency issues. So climate change is about what's happening in the world, high temperatures, the ozone layer disappearing. And this one, with the help of scientists and those people, the environment, those who know about the green environment knows how to do it. But again, let it be trees, to reach a point whereby it's going to be used as an excuse to use it to pass laws that are going to suppress the human rights.
Yeah. Okay. That is Emmanuel's political point of view as well as personal point of view. And to the dear viewers, I'm also asking you, what do you make out of this holiday being created for you to actually plant trees, all geared towards the fight, of course, for climate change in the country as well as in the world in general. Now, moving on to home matters, that is Meru. Meru is a place that for the longest time we have been talking about. And when you mention Meru, currently we are dealing with Kawira Mwangaza. And as I stated earlier on, this is a make or break week for Kawira Mwangaza. I don't know if you followed on the Senate proceedings on Kawira Mwangaza's impeachment so far, listened to the different people who have talked, as well as the different lawyers, as well as there is a clip that was also shared in the Senate today, purporting or alleging that Kawira Mwangaza was actually insulting or they're hurling insults in Meru, of course. Do you see Kawira Mwangaza, number one, making it out of the Senate? What are the chances that Kawira is going to be saved or is going to go home, as per what you have witnessed or followed so far?
Now, according to what I've been following throughout the day and what has been happening, she will come again out clean, thanks to the Senate. It's only the Senate that will save her. But to the Meru MCAs, seems that they don't want her.
No.
But looking at what Omtato was challenging the MCAs, together with her lawyer, together with there's this Boni
Halwale, yeah.
So they are challenging the MCAs in matters of constitution and what should be followed with the exact procedure of impeaching our governor. One talking about the gross misconduct of office, and I saw the lawyer challenging what could be gross. Is it once or twice? Oh, for a long period of time.
No.
I also had a look at what that is challenging them matters with the constitution. In as much that we have the constitution, it's very clear, and we have a good constitution that has even defined its articles well, that it's not ambiguous. So when they talk about the three major rules or laws that will make a governor to be impeached, about gross misconduct, maybe about the constitution, maybe not referencing the constitution and many others, to what I can conclude from now is that she's going to serve. Yeah, thanks to the Senate. But if it were to be only the MCS, she could have gone home.
Angekuwa ashaenda nyumbani
Yeah,
kitambo.
but again, as we speak, the impeachment process is that you remain to be a governor. She's still the governor.
Yeah.
Until then, she'll be voted by the third majority in Senate. Will say that now maybe she does not have the quorum. But from what I can see, she's going to survive.
And most people were actually, including analysts, other analysts were purporting that now we have two ways. If they would have gone the committee way, which is the first time, which is how the first time Kawira Mwangaza was actually saved from the Senate, and now they've gone like the plenary way where she is present, she's being represented, as well as everybody is there to witness what is currently going on. And most have stated that this current system that they have gone to is a very tricky way, or it will be a tricky time for Kawira Mwangaza. Do you think maybe if they would have gone the Senate way, it would have made things easier? And right now, since you've said you actually seeing her coming out victorious, for example, is it going to be a challenging time for her, or is it going to be sort of like an easy time despite the outcome?
This comes at the point when Mount Kenya wants unity. And it's Mount Kenya who will know how to impeach governors. Talk about Anne Weguru, talk about Ferdinand Wetitu, talk about even now Kawira Mwangaza. We've not seen other counties and other regions coming out to fight their own. So the war against Kawira Mwangaza, it's not the war against the governor. It's not the war against Kawira. It's the war against the governor. So the governor seat is very influential. Now that the gamer community, that's the Kikuyu, Embu, Meru, and the Ameru. So these people, when they come up forming the larger Mount Kenya region, they found it very difficult to impeach their governors. Very easy, I mean. So they've come to a point where they are trying to remove this picture of impeachment. Because the more they want to continue it, the more they want to even have a great mess with themselves. And again, to analyze is only to analyze. But you can, what we analyze at times cannot be true.
Yeah.
So it's according to the circumstances. So the circumstances for her, according to today, are some are favoring her. But maybe tomorrow and other coming days might not favor her. And maybe the analysis will change, shift to the other angle. And then talking about her as herself, she could be facing this challenge of appointing the husband. But again, who does not do that? You find out that if it was she was to be a man and maybe appoint the woman, it will not be a problem. They'll be saying that women will be
Empowered.
But when it comes for her herself, giving her husband some job that maybe he was qualified for, it becomes a problem. And then at times in politics, in as much you want to bring reformation, in as much you want to bring how can I put it, good development for your people. Like from her heart, maybe she wanted to deliver for the people of Meru, and for sure she has. She wants. But the system, the hardware for politics, the hardware is how does she relate with other instrumental politicians from the area, whereby we have kingpins issues in Nova. So you find out that Mituka Dinturi could be one to be influential in as much as the CS.
No.
And you find out the likes of Kiraitu Murungi. They want to be very influential to bring the politics of Meru to a standstill. But someone has come. She has gone to the ground. She has made a good PR with people. People can recognize that this is our governor. Furthermore, she's a woman. And the most difficult problem that she's facing is that the Meru people, they're people who still believe and cling to their culture. One of the reasons that they've never voted in for Red Odinga, do you know what?
No.
It's about circumcision. So they believe that Raila Odinga is never circumcised. And one of the reasons that never supported Raila Odinga and Jaramogi Oginga Odinga is that they were never circumcised. Until then, I remember, is it 202 or 207, or Raila was a circumcised actually. So as to get the votes from Meru region. And then they played that trick for him until the last moment they voted in Kibaki. So another culture that they're clinging in is that they don't believe in women, female leadership. So not the Meru people at large, but the few people who claim to be clan elders, where the kingships come in. So Kraitu will be calling on people and the likes of Mitugu and speaking in Meru and ask people, do you want a woman to lead us? So that's what I can say, that she's facing problems, not as Kawira, but she's facing problems as a governor.
As a governor.
Yeah, people want her out, and then they will condole with that. It's very funny how politics happen. But again, this now free popularity, every part of the country, she's getting to be known. And these are at times politics can be growing. I was telling you the other day how people become kingpins. They come it in a hard way. She has found it the hard way. And if for sure she's going to continue being determined, she's going to fight till the end. And now let me ask, if she challenges them and wins them, who will still want to be the kingpin?
Because that's the question we are asking.
So she's going to get it easily in a hard way. Yeah.
But as well as, also a big question that we have seen, for example, if you look at Kiambu, what's happening with Umatangi, we've seen Gashago actually coming in, calling this group of people, of MCAs from Kiambu, to try and talk to them so that they can find a way of not to impeach him, as well as creating sanity. We also saw during Kawira's first impeachment, when she won the impeachment, the same thing. They gathered the MCAs and talked to them and all that, And a question that, of course, has to be asked is, yes, Kawira Mwangaza might be successful, or not. So if in the case she is back in power, she's put back in power, how is the county going to operate? Whereas 2 times in a row, we have seen those who are supposed to be working with the system are actually against the system. with the whole House actually voting her out through
So,
impeachment.
whom do you mean by working with the system?
The MCAs working hand in hand with the governor.
No, it's not always that MCAs should be working with the governor.
Mm-hmm.
No. These are only a political mileage that they want to get. Remember, MCAs at times work under the mercy of the governor.
Mm-hmm.
MCAs don't have the kitty themselves. They don't have the word fund. So these ones trying to make them even the relationships of her is spoiled. But she's the governor. If she survives, what she'll be doing more is that politically she must revenge. And by revenging, what should we do? The key development that was to go to a particular ward at the expense of a particular MCA, they want to fail. One of the reasons that in Kenya, actually, let me put in Kisii County, where I happen to come from, the 2022 general elections, all the former 45 MCAs wanted to retain. Believe me, only one retained.
Wow.
Only one MCA made it to a re-election. So you can see, and this happened for him going to the ground at personal levels. So when the governor is in the seat, MCAs, they don't have power. They don't actually. The little power that they had is to impeach the governor bringing the motion. And that's why you find out that they're being given money. The case happened even to Meru. You find out that they have again bribed maybe their opponents to petition a file, to vote against her, and they're moving to Senate. They're finding it difficult. They were being asked small questions pertaining the Constitution, and they're taking long to explain. They don't have a mastery. So they were trying to play with what they've known. So at times, maybe to stick to your question, MCAs don't have that real mandate to outshine the government. How would you do that?
That's a question we're asking.
They don't have resources. A governor comes to your homeward and makes you not to exist. A governor can come with a lot of resources, pour out projects, and launch himself and talk bad about you. Governor anakuja anaanzisha project. Anasema mimi kama Kawira Mwangaza nimeanzisha hii project kwa sababu nyinyi ni watu wangu. Mnasema aje? Wanapiga makofi. Anasema mnataka huyu MCA afanye na mimi kazi ama yakwende mbali. Wangapi mnasema kwende mbali? That's our politics.
Politics.
So until then, you find out that the MCA will not have an easy time to convince the same electorates to vote for him or her come the next election. That's why majority, not only where I come from, majority of the MCAs don't make it to the second term because of the small political mistakes that they do. And maybe one last before we move on is that according to the Constitution and devolution, one of the challenges that MCAs are facing is that they want to make it as if they are more powerful than the governor himself. So theirs is to oversight the governor. They want to oversight the governor. This money amount was being used for this. So those one are the executive. You can find an MCA who is by chance in an executive. Those ones are bound to make developments for their people. So the relationship between Kawira Mwangaza, if she survived the impeachment, first already spoiled between her and the MCAs. Thank God, not her and people. No. There's no. You saw them coming up and defending her. And believe me, if they go a re-election, a by-election, the problem is that once you're impeached, you cannot go to vie again. But if chance happens, and then let's say that we had a by-election today between Kiraitu Murungi and
Kawira Mwangaza,
she will win by a landslide. She will take a lot of votes. She'll bag a lot.
Okay, now that is the politics of what is actually happening in Meru County. Of course, it being a week where Kawira Mwangaza's impeachment hearing by the Senate is actually taking place, and most definitely she is, or as well as I would say Meru is actually going to know its gubernatorial fate pretty soon, and most definitely right here on the K&A table. We're going to keep you updated as well as continue discussing matters affecting Kenya in general, as well as the different counties. Now, we talk a lot about MCAs, and we had the MCA Korogosho make certain remarks about, number one, the political space in Kenya, terming that actually the political season is over. It's time to actually work and stop the campaigns, of course, which is something we've seen most leaders in the country do. But he also mentioned something about, he was actually talking about Governor Sakaja doing work, whereas a governor in a different place has been ranked as a top performing governor, but in real sense, those who are performing are sort of like not in the picture, you know. And before we get into what has actually been discussed, let's just play this video and then we'll be right back to see, number one, the analysis of the MCA, that is Korogosho, sorry, as well as just a minute, guys. Before that, let me just ask you a question first of all. Uh, with this ranking of politicians through that has been happening, we've seen best performing governors, top 10 performing MCAs, top 10 performing whatnot and on. According, do you feel it's a fair or whatever criteria has been used to actually give the ranking? Is it a fair criteria, number one? And we have seen Kenyans in different places complaining, oh, there's no water, there's no housing, there's no what. So, what kind of criteria, what kind of things are supposed to be looked at in terms of qualifying a governor as a governor who's actually working or as the best performing governor?
There are many aspects that were being considered according to Infotrak and how they have been doing. So, one, you find out that looking from the agriculture sector. So from the agricultural sector, they will be looking at the development that people are facing, the kind of food, how food is being obtained, how the water is being obtained, now coming to water, natural resources, the cleanliness of towns. They come about business, and then they come about bursary allocation, talk about free primary, secondary education, talking about the availability of the MP, how at times have you seen him, and maybe take 2 or 3 questions about politics. And those are actually the criteria that normally is being done. So at times it can be, okay, it can never be totally fair, but chances are it can give that representation of fairness, because for sure it's impossible to get views from every Kenyan.
No.
So what normally happens when they're doing this research, it takes between a period of maybe like the report they were giving, it was between some 3 months time. So you find out that this time political temperatures could have changed.
No.
At this time we find out maybe the prices of goods could have gone down and others up.
No.
At this point you find out maybe the policies and politicians have done this and this, and the shift have happened. Now you find out like maybe take 2 or 3 questions from agriculture. They'll be asking, have you received the subsidies for fertilizer in your constituency? And then someone will say yes. And maybe about the 100 the question in a constituency, if 70 say yes, 30 say no, and maybe a few say that they don't know about it. So that would give a representation of that constituency. And they move on to a political and ask them maybe 2 or 3 questions. One, they'll ask, do you know your MP? As you know, to my surprise, many can say they don't know.
They don't know. Many don't.
And then another portion will say they know him or her. And then another option, in as much they know him, they not want to hear. And then the second question would be asked maybe, do you think or believe they have helped you? And then they will say to some extent what they've done, and to some extent what they have not done. So this will give them a clear picture of what should be done. And then the last question, which normally will be asked, if we were to go to an election today, will you vote in or not?
No.
And then according how they will say, some will say yes, some no. So this one basically goes about popularity. And that's why politicians always, those one who use media, in politics you need media, you need money, you need military, you need defense, the 3 M's.
Yeah, 3 M's.
So those ones who are using it well, they always rank number 1. Number 1, popularity. Let's talk about Sakaja. Who does not know Sakaja? So if you ask even a relevant question, but the name of Sakaja is there, they'll always say
Sakaja.
Sakaja. No, maybe talk about a man who always dishes out money. That you take the credit. Who has security? So this one, maybe let's talk about Kiharu. You always see him in media. See how the social media, YouTube channels, how he is open for interviews, and everyone knows Ndinyoro. Not only in Kiharu, but in almost major
The whole
parts of the
country.
country.
Yeah.
Now go to Kisii County, maybe talk about Simbarati. Who does not know Simbarati? So even if you ask an irrelevant question during an interview, but the name of Simbarati is there, people say
Simbarati. And with that, because what I'm getting from that is actually that Kenyans will mostly, or citizens will mostly give an opinion based on popularity of this person. But now it also raises eyebrows on what qualifies you as a best governor. Is it because of popularity, or because unajua there's a difference? If I come and ask you the questions, for example, that you have asked, and on the ground we are living in a place where you do not have hospitals, or the hospitals are in a poor condition. Maybe your governor is a governor full of empty promises, number 3, but because ni mtu wako ama let's say for example, using an example, maybe Ndinyoro, and I'm like, I know Ndinyoro, I see him on the TV, he talks a lot, so he talks sense, so that's why I give him kudos to be one of the best performing MPs in the country, for example. Same goes to Sakaja, because that criteria is actually sort of questionable, because what about the marginalized areas, for example? What qualifies those in the marginalized regions as some of the best performing governors, and what makes them even some the worst performing MPs, governors, MCAs?
That's why I was saying that times it cannot be fair. You can find out that for sure they are well performing MPs, other than how it was run.
No.
But again, depending on how the popularity affects, and maybe the issue about corruption. There's a time they were saying that before this report comes out, they always receive phone calls, meetings. They're being told, we're going to do an infrastructure release. If you don't come and give us something, we're going to bring your name down. And you find out that there are many performing MPs.
No.
Let's say the truth. There are leaders who are performing, but who does not want popularity. There are people who can come and do development, but they must not wait to see a camera. No. It's not a matter that there's a camera for them to launch projects. They are always with the people. So when things happen, they are not even affected. So the issue about popularity will always remain one.
No.
Popularity is for good or worse. It's for good or worse. If people come and ask, who's the most corrupt leader in the country? Whom they will say?
I can't give an answer. They will say yes.
They will say who's the most corrupt. They will say
yes,
because they know. It could be that person will not be actually the most corruptible, but it's how media is branded and other
That
politicians.
person,
Politics, 21st century politics is all about propaganda. If you know how to sell propaganda and people will buy your propaganda, at the end of the day, you conquer the politics of the day. So talking about that criteria of doing the infrastructure, I know that in as much as it is, they're trying to use the most possible ways to make sure that it becomes almost accurate. It will always not be accurate, but it gives a representation. For sure, I'll maybe talk about the Ndinyoro. He has delivered. Most roads are managed. Schools are having buses. Water is everywhere. So you find out. But once you go to Dagoretti, we are almost done, and the MP for there is not being ranked. So that's what we say. There are constituencies that developed long time ago. So even as much they get getting the CDF, it goes for other projects and maybe people's pockets. But also the upcoming ones are trying to do it well. But talking about maybe the issue about the social life, social here now comes the price of commodities. I think that one always tends to be fair. It cannot be exaggerated, but it will always be fair. Yeah.
Okay. And since we're talking about Nili Nyoro, we'll be coming back to him in a few. But before that, let's listen to the Korogosho MCA, and then we'll be right back.
Kwa haraka, umoja oye. Asanteni sana. Hii Cecil is the governor. Mimi naitwa Matakwei Mobimba, MCA Korogosho Ward. Tunasikia mambo sijui ya siasa. Wewe ni wazimu unapiga siasa saa hii. Saa hii sisi tunafanya wera. Siasa ni baadaye. Sawa? We don't want politics. Hatutamuka siasa, tulale siasa, tukunie siasa, tukojoe siasa. Sisi tuko kazi my friend. Na governor, mimi nilikuambia, ukiingia kwa hii mchezo utapotea. Wewe jifanye uoni. Wewe songa na kazi mbele. Sisi hatutaki siasa. Na kwa hii serikali ya Sakaja kuna mpaka watu wa ODM na tuwezi kataa kusema. Nyangili Mjaluo. Kuna chief pale Ibrani Mjaluo. Kuna wa environment Mjaluo. Tukana unyisoa ango. Ango munyisoa. Sisi tunapeleka kazi mbele. His Excellency. Kericha aliongea hapa akaongea maneno yangu yote, lakini alisahau kitu moja. Kuna wale watu wanasema sijui innovate. Si wanafanya utafiti, ati ule governor amefanya maendeleo. Those people are nonsense people. Ati ule governor Koloitoktok ati ameshinda Sakaja kazi. Nyamaza, ile pesa ambayo tuna collect Nairobi County ndio inasaidia wale watu wa ushago. Kama tunagoma kutoa ushuru, wale wanalala njaa. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka niambie governor, hao watu ni kama walikuja kwako kawanyima kakitu. Wanazunguka wakichukua pesa, ati wao wamefanya kazi. Kabla governor ameingia Nairobi, ameandika vijana wera. Nani ameandika vijana wera? Tangu waingie Nairobi. Hospitali saa hii tuna launch. Dandora Stadium inaisha. Nyayo Stadium inatengenezwa. Hizi sio vitu wanafanya wapi? Wawache kudanganya watu, kuchukua pesa ya magavana ati uko juu Makure. Gavana anafanya kazi. Mimi nitamaliza nikisema siasa saa hii ni mapema. Wacheni tufanye wera. Na nataka niambie Roro, wale madui ambao walikuwa na kupiga, watoe serikali ya Sakaja wale watu wa ODM kwa midomo yao. Chief officer una blackmail, you will never blackmail a chief officer for ODM. Asante sana, Mungu awabariki.
Swadakta, asante sana Matakwei Mobimba.
Yes, and that was the Korogosho MC. Of course, I mentioned a couple of things, including what we have just discussed about how these leaders are ranked from the MCAs to the governors, as well as to the MPs. I'm sure that you have come across all those analyses or the ranking of different members of parliament according to performance. The best, as well as I don't know if they ranked the worst. So far, I've just seen the best.
Even in school, I don't know who brought this structure in our country, whereby we thank God for CBC has come to remove all this. I'm the best in my class.
No.
I'm the best in doing this and that. Who told you that best? You can not be the best. After all, there's nothing new under the sun. What he has been saying here is what I will say.
No.
But I don't want to repeat about it. I want to go and say one mistake that Babu Wino did is to declare his interest and ambitions for Nairobi governor seat.
No.
So early. He might not make it.
Why not?
He might not make
He's
it.
he was ranked one of the best performing members of parliament.
Okay, it's good from the other side. He's performing for Bakassi, but for him becoming a governor, he'll be fought to the last minute. Politics according to 48 laws of power, your competitor you crush terribly. You crush your competitor, and now Sakaja knows the competitor is Babu. Maybe the shift might move from Team Wanyonyi. Team. Yeah. Team has continued is not coming out clearly. So Babu has come out saying that he wants this thing. 2023. 2027 in Badi, sir.
I know, yeah.
Governor will do everything possible. Sakaja will make sure he does everything possible so that Babu does not make it. You know, it's like President Ruto now. At the moment, the competitor he knows is Raila Odinga, not even Kalonzo himself. So that's why even Kalonzo himself, the president will do everything possible to prevent Kalonzo himself from winning him come 2027. So the same case will apply to Babu. And this is what we tell people. At times, it's good to be ambitious, but keep your political ambition very secret until the last moment, so that your opponent does not know your next move. Now, Sakaja has known the next move for Babu is to want Nairobi seat. In me, as Sakaja, I do not go for presidency. I want to retain. So my opponent, so they will deal with him. So what you've had the MCA do is defend Sakaja. And destroy
Babu.
Now, that's politics. That's Kenyan behavior. No. 2023 Kenyans expect developments to be a campaign. We have started campaign mode.
Okay. Na amesema vizuri, wakati wa siasa umeisha, sasa ni wakati wa kufanya kazi. And of course, moving on, we move now to the Kiharu MP, that is Ndindi Nyoro. And while he was talking, he actually made remarks in regards to, number one, the current economic state of Kenya, actually throwing praise to what the president is doing so far, and was definitely sort of like promising Kenyans that pretty soon you're going to see the good work that the president has done. Now, before we get into your opinion and comment, I want us to listen to Ndindi Nyoro, and then we'll be right back as we also wind up the Kenny table.
Kwa hivyo mimi nauliza Wakenya wote, najua kumekuwa na uhuru kidogo wa uchumi, lakini hata sisi ni Wakenya, hata tuwaongoza, na tungetaka Kenya ambayo ni thabiti. Na vile tumeona kama policy ile tuliweka ya food security is already bearing fruit. If you go to our supermarkets, the prices of sugar is now much lower. It is based on policy, opportunity meeting preparedness. We had the right policies, but God blessed us with rains. Now the prices of sugar are much lower than it was a year ago. Vile tumeona hiyo policy ya food security working, nataka nisisitiza Wakenya wote, even the other policies ambazo tumeweka, ambazo saa zingine zinakuja zinastahili tuvute kama kidogo. Hata hizo vile tumeona food security policies are working, even those other ones, we know for sure they are going to work. We know CBC editions we started, we are now stabilizing. University funding model, ambayo ni university students, tukianza the challenges, but is now stabilizing. Na kwa hiyo university funding model, 45,000 students watakuwa wanaingia universities, wanasoma bila kulipa school fees hata shilingi moja. So all I'm trying to say in other words, najua ya kwamba kwa uchumi na kufanya kazi, ni vizuri tunakazwa kama viongozi, so that we keep on improving. But I want to assure the Kenyan people that the strategies and the policies that the president is following, they are bearing fruit. If you look at our inflation rates, hata kama bei ya mafuta imeenda juu, our inflation rate is below 7%. Ukiangalia uchumi grow inawa hapa Kenya. Na saa zingine unajua nikiwa kanisa na ongea ukweli kabisa. Ukiangalia hata kwa Kongo, you check. Uangalie figures za World Bank, za IMF na zinginezo. In the first quarter of 2023 and the second quarter, Kenyan economy grew by 5.3%. Na ukiangalia katika nchi zote za ulimwengu, Kenya was actually the 29th fastest growing economy in the world. Hiyo sio kusema tunafurahia, hapana. Nataka niseme ya kwamba kuna kwingine maneno ni magumu kuliko hapa. Na vile tumeweka mikakati, Kenya can only continue to get better. And I want to assure the Kenyan people, and the president comes to address the nation on Thursday, Kenya is in the right trajectory. Kenyan economy will be an economy that other economies will come to learn about how to run economies here. And I'm sure about that. Lakini saa zingine hata ukiwa kwa ndege, kama inachukua mwendo, saa zingine inaanza msukosuko. Lakini ikistabilize, watu wanasikia kuna stability. So hivyo ni kwa uchumi imekuwa hivyo. Saa zingine ingekuwa tuvute hapa, kazi, lakini nataka niwahakikishie Wakenya the time ya kufuta kamba imeisha. Sasa ni kustabilize na kupeleka.
Okay, now that was Ndindi Nyoro. The first question, of course, you're asking, is Kenya's economy going in the right direction? Because what Kenyans are saying, what people are saying on the ground is actually something different.
We need to be realistic at times.
Oh.
The economy at the moment is not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
So wait this up. So in as much there are problems and challenges with the economy, is that life is getting affordable at times, especially the price for food is coming down. So at the moment, economy I can say is normal.
And of course, I'm just reading here a tweet by Mutahi Nguni. That's why I'm smiling. Sorry for that. Saying that this government does not add up. I do not understand why November 13th is a public holiday. Is there something they know that we do not know? On the 13th, on the 13th weekend, Kenyans will drink beer like El Nino. No money to buy trees. Is the plot to get us drunk, and why? And the first comment I chose, I'm seeing it down there, is that they chose November 13th for rest day because the following day, EPRA will be releasing new fuel prices. That's our country, Kenya, you know. And we've had, obviously, Ndini Nyoro talk about the Kenyan economy, things that are happening in Kenya. And amesema Kenya's economy is something that probably in the next few other countries will actually be looking up to how Kenya is governed. 5 years from now, where do you see us?
In terms of
as a country, growth, in terms of Kenya's economy, in terms of the cost of living as well?
I don't want to be a prophet of doom. I don't want to.
The prophets have started working.
I want to believe here that what will be is that we'll have improved. You know, like we believe in vision 2030. There are things we will improve, but then Kenyans will still be fine.
And that, of course, is his opinion, as well as to our country, Kenya, to our Kenyans, to our fellow Kenyans. We're asking you the question, and even to other people who visited Kenya or probably know and understand Kenya. Where do you see us 5 years from now? Is our economy something that is going to be probably learning curve for different nations in a positive way or in a negative way? Please feel free to tell us on the comment section below. Of course, for the K&A table today, we've been talking about Kawira Mwangaza's impeachment, what is currently happening in Meru. We've also talked about the Nairobi seat, that is Babu Owino actually declaring his interest in the gubernatorial seat of Nairobi County. We've also touched on Ndindi Nyoro and Kenya's current economy and also the future of Kenya's economy. Of course, this and more discussions right here on the K&A table with me, Tamara Patience, and Emmanuel Bosire, as well as other guests who will also be joining us from time to time. Thank you so much for keeping us company, as well as allowing us to keep you company. That is how we're calling it a wrap right here from the K&A table. And depending on whatever time you are watching this or you have watched this, you say good morning, good afternoon, and